What's going on YouTube? So today, if you're watching this video, you've probably had some bad luck. Your RMKs run a little low on compression. This is a 2016 800 RMK Pro, the Axys chassis. So over the last year, the sled's down to what, 120 PSI?
Yeah, 120 and then 115 on one.
Yeah, so pretty even cylinder to cylinder, but it's getting tired. One of the common symptoms, if you're trying to put it into reverse, it'll just stall and it won't actually go into reverse. So today we're gonna tear it down and do a top end rebuild on it. There are a couple specialty tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need a fridge and a couple of beverages. Other than that, we should be pretty good to go. If there's anything crazy along the way, I'll let you know, but this is our first time doing it too, so let's get into it. So the hood and side panels come off pretty easy. And it shouldn't be that bad of a job. Kind of just get the exhaust out of the way. I'm not sure if we'll have to do anything with the clutching on the one side, but you can pretty much see the top end. Relatively easy. As you can tell, she's just been sitting in a field for a little while. We're trying to bring her back to her former glory. The older 800s were supposed to be pretty reliable in the later years, like this is a 16. So a little bit disappointed, it only has 3,700 kilometers, which we're really hoping to get more out of it, but it is what it is. It's not a skidoo. We were thinking about taking the turbo off the do, giving her a little more compression that way, but not sure if that's how it works. Might try it if this doesn't go that well. So we just got the air box out of the way, and then the ECM's just kind of sitting here. Just a little bit of trim here and there, the intake snorkel, and that'll free up a majority of the space. Bro, looking at this thing, she looks like she's been in the river. Where'd you take this thing? It's not a water ski. There's literally freaking spiders crawling out of this guy's sled. This guy pulls his sled out of the field. So the exhaust is pretty easy if it wasn't for one spring that we can't get to. Right underneath on the bottom side. That's the only one that's fighting us. Not a ton of space up top. So we were going for weight reduction here. We did a pull cord delete, no more handle on that. And I was kind of scoping things out. We got a bar heater delete here, looking pretty good. Don't know how much weight that's gonna save, but interesting technique for sure. So exhaust is out of the way. You can see the cylinder heads, nice and easy. Power valve there. Not sure if we're gonna have to take this oil tank right off yet, but ECM's kind of just laying there. We'll peel that out of the way. Getting close. I think for the next part, we're gonna need a specialty tool. So the intake is a really tight fit on the back of the engine, but I found my specialty tool and it came off not bad after I used that for a little bit. So oil tank's still on, just kind of hanging. And this guy is out. So we were trying to come up with a way to drain the coolant. You would think an American-made sled would have a coolant drain. No, they don't. And we were gonna take their reservoir off, but it's riveted to the frame. And we had rivets, but they're a little on the small side. So we were thinking of taking, he has the one coolant hose off the reservoir right now, and it is draining a little bit. If that doesn't work, we're gonna take the big hose, kind of go into the block and see if we can drain it that way. So we might have found the answer. We have the one coolant line running down to the throttle bodies and over, and we looped it just into a bucket, and we cracked the bleeder on your thermostat here. And it is draining, a little on the slow side, but we'll see where that gets us. All right, we found the answer. Small amount of compressed air. Emphasis on the small. And she's trickling out the reservoir pretty nice. And he's just holding the other end of the hose in his hand there. We put the lid back on the reservoir after puking some out the top. But this is working not bad. I'm pretty sure if you looked up the service procedure from Polaris, this would be identical. It would have to be. So it's actually working pretty good. We got maybe a couple liters out, and it must be getting close to empty. You can hear it gurgling down in the tunnel. We don't have to get it right dry, just kind of low enough that we can get the cylinder heads off. So just getting the power valve off here, taking the steering linkage off, it's kind of in the way. But everything else is almost out of the way. Throttle body's on the back, and head should come right off. So some technical issues. We got the steering linkage off, but we still can't quite get the power valves out. She's a tight fit. Alright, so we got these two coolant lines from under the power valve. This power valve didn't pull out because there's too much in the way, but we just undid the head came off. Only thing on the back side is the fuel rail and the injector, as you can see popping out right there. Oh, these boys are in their element.
I'm not ready.
Oh, you're ready.
Man, how much is this part? Like $1,000?
Everything's $1,000. Oh, sweet. So we just tossed the power valve while we took the jug off. Looking pretty good. Piston stayed. We got a lot of coolant in the bottom end. A little bit. So yeah, we'll have to address that, but pistons are, let's get them on the bench, see how they look. So not a ton of crosshatch in these bores. They're looking a little on the smooth side. So we're gonna hone it tomorrow. We're gonna put the pistons on tonight and kind of get her all prepped for tomorrow, but she's no carnage, so that's a good thing. So these pistons are looking really good. We took the top ring off and we measured the end gap, and it's about 18 thou. So that's not really out of spec. Don't know why this thing was low on compression, but we're gonna toss new pistons and rings in it anyway, and hopefully that solves our issue. So we used the piston just to push the new ring down in the bore, make sure it's level. And now we're gonna measure the end gap on the new ring, see if it's similar to the old ring.
Yeah. 16 thou.
16 thou. So the new ring is 16 thou, a little bit tighter. We'll probably shave it down just a little bit to 17 or 18. So to try and get a little bit of a crosshatch back in these glazed cylinders, we're going to use a 400 grit, which isn't ideal. You should have a 320 grit in a perfect world for this nickel compound. But yeah, you can hone these. We were kind of questioning it at first, but it's safe to do. So we have a little bit of carbon buildup that we're going to clean off of these power valves before they go back in. With the pistons and rings kind of being in pretty good shape there, I know it's kind of hard to tell 100%. We're a little bit nervous about the reeds. That might be affecting our compression as well. They are original, and I think you're supposed to replace them at what, 2 thou? Yeah, so this is almost double the kilometers of the service life on those reeds. We're just using a little bit of Some Ski-Doo performance oil on the old Polaris. Getting the bore all lubed up, ready for the hone. Clean these up a little more, took a little closer look. The skirts do have a little bit of rash on them. The bores had a couple of small marks on them as well, but yeah, that hone gave us a decent crosshatch after, so hopefully it seals up. So we got all the coolant out of the bottom end.
That one is 18. Take it out.
So we're doing 18 thou on the top compression ring and 19 thou on the bottom compression ring. Money shot. So just trying to get these wrist pin clips in. I just really don't want anything to fall on the bottom end. That would be a lot of extra work if one of these fell down. So the ring orientation, it only goes one way. It's got a little groove there. And you can't really compress it if it's not in that groove. Same with the lower compression ring. So it's definitely a two-man job. We kind of walked the power valve in first, and then we walked on the jug as the other person was compressing the rings underneath. .42 foot-pounds. So just getting ready to bolt the head down to the jug, and it looks like these are part of the coolant jacket there. So they need a little bit of silicone just to seal them up. .25 foot-pounds on the head. So you know, back in the day when we first got the sleds, I convinced you to get a loud can. I think I'm gonna try and convince you to get a quiet can now. My eardrums need it. So she's all back together, pretty much ready for a start. We just tossed some coolant in it and it started puking out of the little breather when it was on the ground. So we kind of just jacked it up and we could hear it gurgle down the tunnel almost right away. Yeah, first start. still no reverse. So just finishing everything up. Everything went pretty smooth. As far as tools go, you don't really need anything special. Basic socket set, a couple Torx bits, a couple Allen key bits, and it went pretty smooth. You don't need a piston ring compressor or anything like that. The ring's compressed by hand pretty easy. Hindsight, we should have drained the coolant first. I think if you tip the sled on its side and just drain the coolant out of the reservoir, if you tip the whole sled, kind of get the bar touching the ground type thing, we might have got a little more coolant out and wouldn't have had so much in the bottom end to clean out. Might save you a little bit of time that way. The sled is running a lot better. Before it would kind of idle really low, the headlights would start to dim and it would stall. So the idle RPM is back to normal. It definitely needed the pistons, but we're gonna put reeds in it as well and see if we can get that reverse gear back, because it's still stalling when we go into reverse. But a couple heat cycles might help that as well. Really get those piston rings to seat. So I cut the video a little short there. We were in a rush to get the sled finished up and kind of out the door. But just one last thing I wanted to add, just to make it easier for you guys if you're doing this job. When we were putting the jug back on the pistons, our best position there was kind of with the pistons just slightly offset, kind of in the middle of their stroke, just so you can walk one piston in before the other one, so you can kind of work on one at a time. If you have them offset too much, it doesn't really work either. Like one piston at the top of its stroke and one at the bottom, because when you get to the bottom one, there's just not enough room to get your hands in there. So yeah, just put both pistons middle of the stroke and you'll be all right. Just offset just enough to get the rings in, one piston then the other. All said and done, the job probably took us 2 afternoons. So you could probably finish it in a full day if you're hustling and didn't really hit the specialty tools as hard as we did. The first Saturday night was for the boys, obviously. And then Sunday, we kind of buckled down, got more serious, and finished it off. Our riding areas are just starting to get hit pretty hard with snow. So we're gonna try and get some good shots of the turboed Summit this year and really have some fun with it. Absolute blast to ride that thing. And it makes all the right noises. That turbo is so freaking loud. So stay tuned for that, but until then, take it easy guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.